Hollywood is trembling in their boots right now. They really are. They're scared. Something is about to occur, or at least publicly be acknowledged, that will send media company stock prices, dropping and cause a lot of instability inside the studios. What could this possibly be? Well, the studios see the R word. That's right, a recession. Let's dive into it. Here we go. I always find it fascinating when all the trades are saying the same thing at the same time. They don't do that very often. It's not something that happens. You usually don't get everybody saying the same thing at the same time. You usually have one of the trades saying something and you have variations of these things, but not the same thing, not the same concern, and not the same take on it anyway. Well, let's focus in on just one article to start with from Variety and their VIP platform. The headline: a recession could send media layoffs surging. That's right. Wait a minute. A recession? You mean the thing we've been talking about for months and months and months and months? A thing that we knew was coming because of the out of control inflation and all of these bad decisions being made by our leaders here in this country? Leaders. Anyway, let's get on with this article and everything else that's happening in the background, because studios are already tightening their belts and layoffs are just the beginning. With a slew of recent gloomy economic data, many see an economic recession on the horizon. No kidding. And if history is any indication, the media sector could see a big surge in layoffs as a result. And you can see from this chart the US media sector job cuts year by year. These things line up with economic circumstances, of course. And looking back at those recessions, the biggest spike in layoffs occurred in those years. Of course, that was after the dot-com bubble. There were a whopping 43,420 media job cuts in the recession in 2001, and that's according to the outplacement firm Challenger Gray & Christmas. Now, during the Great Recession, which ran from the end of 2007 until 2009, and we know why that happened, there were a combined 51,149 job cuts from 2008 to 2009. Well, of course there were. And during the global crisis recession in 2020, more than 30,700 layoffs occurred. That's not surprising. But hey, we're not done. Not by a long shot. You can see the total job losses in the US in this chart, but recessions are brutal on the job market according to the article. Duh. And to be fair, the media sector won't be the only one to see major cuts. No, you'll see it in a lot of places. Recessions do drive people out of the workforce because businesses can't support the employees anymore, because nobody's spending money on things that we need them to spend money on, which are things that aren't just the basics that you need to survive, which is usually what happens when you're in the situation we're in. You don't have to go that far back to see the kind of trouble we're in than the Carter administration and see exactly where the leaders right now have put us with some terrible decisions. During economic downturns, corporations are quick to trim costs, beef up their balance sheets to show that they're resilient and worthy of investment. There is no telling how long downturns will last, thus companies must prepare for prolonged periods of compressed profits and stalled earnings growth, which I think all of these companies are getting suited up for, and we'll talk about why in just a minute. Nevertheless, the current economic downturn isn't the only factor to blame for the recent flurry of layoffs in the media industry. No, that's called consolidation, but we'll get there. Netflix laid off 3% of their workforce, or about 300 employees, in its second round of layoffs. So they've laid off 450 people plus to date. But Netflix woes have little to do with the broader macroeconomic picture and more to do with the streaming landscape and the management shortcomings. No, the management shortcomings aren't the problem. Not recently. It was the decisions to, lean a particular political direction that actually kind of put them in danger. Same reason Disney's in danger. Big media mergers and acquisitions have also resulted in layoffs associated with restructuring and rebalancing, indeed. And you're going to see that in every part of the industry, and they actually show that here with the CAA-ICM merger that is resulting in 105 layoffs. I guarantee you there will be more. There are around 1,000 employees that at Warner Brothers Discovery that also got fired or are being laid off or whatever. And you also have probably more on the horizon for them, but you also have Warner Media Discovery Managing saying that they're looking to create $3 billion in cost savings. Well, one of the ways to do that is to get rid of a lot of the employees that aren't actually producing anything. So though layoffs are always difficult, post M&A layoffs are often par for the course. Well, yeah, if you have a company come in, just plan to, look for another job. Chances are you could need one. Even as a recession is widely expected, we're in it. The U.S. economy added 390,000 jobs in May, and the unemployment rate was at 3.6%. I still don't see how that's possible. We don't have enough employees to do the jobs that need to get done. I keep going. Companies are still hiring. So according to Challenger Gray and Christmas, U.S. companies made more than 600,000 hiring announcements as of the end of May, which was up 39% from the same period a year ago. Which, again, is not surprising. We were in the middle of some terrible stuff going on, and the government was paying people to stay home. So as we enter the second half of the year, according to this article, executives aren't exactly sounding the alarm just yet. Want to bet? And this is where everybody's going to tell the same story in a different way, but they're still going to try to keep people from panicking. So we're moving on to the next story, which comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter that says, Hollywood aims to trim production costs amid inflation surge, supply chain pain. Well, this is the same way of saying we're going to see more cuts in Hollywood. Studio execs and stage operators say sets are at least 15% more expensive to build than they were just last year. We are now asking, this scene is 7/8 of a page. Do we need the set, which costs $500,000? That's a big budgetary item. It's bigger than that, of course, and there are a lot of reasons why they're going to look to cut costs, I should say. The entertainment industry is buckling under the weight of inflation exacerbated by persisting supply chain turmoil, physical production executives and studio operators tell The Hollywood Reporter. Amid a record year for production levels after bouncing back from the global crisis, studios are grappling over how to build sets within budget and on time. Well, gonna have to pay for them, and you're part of the problem for the reason things got so expensive. Studios, Hollywood. The accessibility of steel and lumber due to supply chain issues have driven up the cost of materials by at least 25 to 30%. Wow, that's insane. And that's from a executive VP of physical production over at Legendary, and they would know. On recent films, he notes that the same set with the same plans was double the price of what it cost 4 years ago. Not unheard of recently. Materials costs and labor costs have gone up. In fact, across the board, we've seen easily 25, 30 to 50% increases on everything. And that's not good. It's not good for any business. Doesn't matter if it's a studio or not. We also have, again, all of these financial pains leading to, or actually describing, the kind of recession that we're in. And this one's going to last a while. Hardly any material or part necessary to construct sets has been safe from surging prices. Inflation has hit everything from fuel to electrical equipment to gaffer tape. All across the board, we're facing increased costs, says Brian Cooper, a partner over at the soundstage company S2CO, which is constructing a 1 million square foot production complex in Georgia. Where I could build a $3 million stage 5 years ago, that's $8 million now. Last year, most production executives and set construction shops said that they were mainly facing delays and hadn't reached the point where they were unable to procure certain set fixtures. Wow. Some now say that impossible to meet demand nationwide for the same materials, equipment, and parts amid record demand for content is impacting set building. If a scene calls for a bathroom, but nothing happens there, we don't have to have it to bring costs down. In California, where the cost of gas now averages $6.34 a gallon, the executive notes for the first time we're asking how to reduce fuel expenditures. The article goes on to describe all of these problems inside the industry that are driving the reason to have all of these cost cuts. You're going to start seeing a lot of one-room things or fewer set pieces or set locations in coming productions, specifically in television, but definitely going to make their way to feature films, especially anything that's a low budget or mid budget film. They're going to have to find ways to not use as many set locations, not require as many people. You're going to have to limit crew size. You're going to have to work with the unions to try to reduce the amount of production staffing that they would normally have in some of these environments. And I think we're going to be seeing that for at least the next year and a half, maybe longer. Again, another sign of the economic issues that the studios are going to have to deal with going forward. But it doesn't stop there. Many Hollywood stocks underperformed the broader market in the first half of the year. No kidding. Media and entertainment sector stocks are down at the mid-year mark, with many posting drops bigger than the 20% fall in the broader S&P market. Well, duh. I actually covered this story on the 6-Minute Daily just a few days ago, but again, glossing over it, this just re-emphasizes the issues that these studios are now dealing with. A tough first half of the year for US media stocks has come to a merciless end. Yes, because they're starting the second half. Stock sell-offs and analyst downgrades have been a regular feature of the year-to-date for media and entertainment giants. Netflix's surprise first quarter subscriber decline has only raised questions about whether broader Hollywood's streaming pivot will pay off over time. The nearer term, amid the industry's increasing structural shift to ubiquitous streaming TV platforms, inflation-induced recession fears, they still can't say it, have led to worries about a hit to advertising revenue and speculation about how many online video-on-demand subscription consumers will pay for at the same time. Well, not very many, which is going to hit the studios even harder. It's also going to continue to drive the stock prices down, and these studios are going to be laying people off. Shares of Fox, which many on Wall Street see as a gamble on sports betting upside, they're down 11 or 12%, depending upon the class of stock. And shares of AMC Networks, the Better Call Saul network, and of course they also made great things like Breaking Bad, etc., has a growing niche streaming business, but they're down 15.4%. So they're still above the 20% fall off. But Paramount Global, whose streaming gains have surprised some, has lost 16.5% in stock value this year, and that's even with the sudden influx of cash from, of course, Warren Buffett. They forgot to mention that here, at least not so far in the article. The rest of these things are exhibitioners, and I guarantee you the exhibition stocks will come back up for Cinemark and IMAX, et cetera, because, you know, we're seeing a return to theatrical releases, and we're seeing an increase in audience. I mean, look at Top Gun Maverick and, of course, Minions: The Rise of Gru. But hey, those are my assessments and my analysis. What do you think? Use the comment section down below to respond to this. Do you see all these layoffs coming for the media sector? I do. Do you see the fact that we're clearly sitting in a recession, whether anybody wants to say that or not? Well, I believe that's the case. Not being a financial professional, that's just an opinion. What do you think? And finally, do you think this could lead to better quality content going forward, even though it might have to be less costly? I leave those questions to you. But please do hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And of course, share this particular video around, as I would appreciate that as well, and it also drives the metrics for the channel. Do support other independent creators in exactly the same way. They could use your support. They try to bring you news and analysis also that hopefully is relatively free of the kinds of spin that we suffer under the mainstream, which seems to be the thing that platforms have been pushing for quite some time. And of course, I'll end the video the same way that I always do, which is to say, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.